Oh, I'm here. All right.
Okay, we are recording.
Okay, great.
What's our official time?
It is 9:30.
We ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm Dave Hall, acting chair today. I'd like to call to order the Upper Rio Grande Floodplain Group General Meeting for Wednesday, 13 July. And welcome to everybody who is in attendance. Item number 2 on our list, are there any comments from the public?
And if I may, Dave, I'll just announce really quickly who's present in case someone else joined.
Okay,
It's
go
not.
ahead. That's
So
fine.
just to document, we have in person Dave Hall and Dr. Shang. Virtually, we have Jeff Bennett, Levi Bryan, Carlos Velarde, Gilbert Saldana, Sal Masood, Javier Acosta, Anita Keys. We have Joel J.D. Lawrence with Texas Department of Agriculture. We have also Judy Elvis. And then sitting as a proxy for Isela Daguino is Marvin Gomez. From the public, we have Alderman David Cantu. We also have Joanna McKenzie from Hudspeth County. With AECOM, we have Brian Blaisdell, as well as Jeff Irvin. And then with Texas Water Development Board, we have Richard Bagans, and I believe we may have Reem and James. I did see. Let's see if they're back on there now.
Yeah, we have some other TWDB staff that may pop in and out, but the manager, James Bonikowski, and Reem June as well.
Okay, great. Is there anyone else that I missed?
Porbo Bora, USIBWC.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Bora. Okay, we can go ahead and move on then if you'd like.
Okay. Let's move on to review of chapters then. Chapter 3 would be the first one. What I propose is that we do it very similar to how we did chapters 1 and 2 and go a group of pages at a time. And if somebody has some input anywhere within that group of pages, please voice your concern and we'll document it. In chapter 3, are there any comments on pages 3.1 to 3.5?
Page 1, just introduction section. It says divided into subcommittees, and then subcommittee 1 jump out. I was checking introduction section. We haven't really introduced subcommittee either. Introduce subcommittee, looks like we have 4 committees here, or add a short section in the introduction to chapter 1. So that's why we kind of set it up, subcommittees 1 through 4. And also regarding each subcommittees, if you have membership, then list all the membership for each subcommittee. So far, I saw subcommittee 1 have membership and subcommittee 4. 2 and 3, I don't think we have the membership. That's one suggestion.
Brian, in terms of the committee structure, I know that I needed to verify with you on the membership, and there's some corrections that were pointed out to me, so I'll send those your way. But were you all considering introducing subcommittees for the other chapters as well?
Yeah, so I think our plan for this was to discuss the subcommittees in more detail in chapter 10, which is the summary of public participation and discussing kind of the summary of all the meetings that have taken place and all the members on each subcommittee. So maybe what we could do is add references in each chapter where that's relevant to the detailed lists of subcommittees in chapter 10.
3.1, the introduction sentence, third line, well, second line, mitigate future flood risk increase due to, do you mean increase due to changes? You are mitigating flood risk, right? Not flood risk increase. Or you can move, increase the future flood risk. That's just editorial. Then 3.11.
Just temporarily, if you guys could acknowledge receiving each of these comments as they're sent to make sure, so we can make sure that you were able to understand, we'd appreciate it.
Can you repeat that comment? Actually, I didn't quite get that one.
What he's concerned with is the word increase in the third line of 3.1. And where it appears in the sentence, it should either be singular or moved to a different location in the sentence.
Yeah, basically mitigate increased future flood risk.
I don't think the sentence loses any meaning if you just take increase out.
That's fine. That's fine.
So just remove increases?
And 3.11, data collection, second line, floodplain ordinance. I think ORDI is yes, right? Ordinance. ORDI.
So there needs to be an I in ordinances.
That
Again, Brian or Jeff, if you guys could acknowledge again.
Yes, got that one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, anything else through page 3.5?
Just on that one, I guess where we're talking about the existing flood risk on that paragraph where we remove the increase. I don't know, when I read it, I probably the proper word to use maybe would be reduce existing flood damage. Which says to reduce existing flood risk.
Okay. Yeah, we can
then-
discuss damage and risk.
Yeah.
Well, either that or you can use a slash in there and put both words in too, for clarity.
Okay.
Whatever works best.
2.2, page 3-2. In the table, hazard mitigation plan in the entity document, then you say HMP for the Rio Grande border. The border, do you count all these counties listed above, or it covers different counties, for example, El Paso, Hotspur, Presidio, Torrio. I'm not sure if it's covered in other sections or not, but here, Rio Grande border was not well defined in terms of which counties are included or not.
Right.
And on that, Brian, well, the hazard mitigation plan includes Hudspeth, Culberson, Jeff Davis, Presidio, and Brewster. It does not include El Paso because El Paso is doing their own hazard mitigation plan. So do you want me to email that to you just as a clarification?
Yes, that'd be good. Thank you.
Okay, so the border only covers these counties listed above.
We can
Anything else?
clarify that.
So I have 1 to 5. Thank you.
Okay, anything else from anybody through page 3.5? appendix table 3A.
In terms of table, I just have a general comments. You have cities, you have counties mixed together. Whether you add counties, add county names behind the city, or you regroup them. Probably add county is better after city towns. So that's why it stands out.
So you're suggesting to go cities first and then counties?
No,
No,
for each city,
For
in
each
brackets
city,
after it, in parentheses after,
Yeah,
put the
yeah.
county
yeah,
that it's in.
that's a one way to do it, or you can put the county first and then all the city below the, we
Oh,
within
that are
the
in that
city. That's the
county.
other way, yeah. That's the other way organized.
Did you get that, Brian?
Whatever easiest for you to change it.
Maybe.
Did
maybe
you
we can add
understand his
column-
comment, Brian?
Yeah, I think maybe the best way to be to add a column or somehow group them. We can look into that.
Okay,
Yeah, I think what might be logical is just say Andrews County, for example, and any city that's in Andrews County that appears on the list appears under Andrews County,
Yeah,
and then the next alphabetic county. That might be the best way to do it, but just a thought. Okay. How about appendix 3B? And appendix 3C map exhibits, I don't have any maps, so for 3C. If there are maps to go in map exhibits for 3C, please make sure they're included.
Was that an oversight on my part, Brian?
We do, it's not included in that PDF, but we did include them as a separate attachment in the deliverables. There should be map 13.
map 13.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think I saw that link in the agenda, actually. If you go back to
Let me
that.
go back.
Yeah, in the table.
Okay, here we
Also
go.
in the
Here's
table.
map
Yeah.
13.
this map
Maybe not.
13 is the black line. The- I'm sorry, is the black line the edge of the watershed? It's not in the legend. Or am I missing something?
Yes, it's the region boundary. We can add that.
Obviously, somebody's seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it on, which page is it on?
Oh, that's the one she printed, and that's all I got was that part of it. You have to downsize it.
Here?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
I changed the hyperlink because maybe, let's see.
Yeah,
Oh,
there it is.
okay,
And that's the one that has to be sized,
okay,
that she printed that page right there, and it
Yeah.
didn't print the whole map for me.
Mhm.
okay. So what you're saying, I'm sorry, did you get that, Brian? Because I missed it. What did Jeff say?
Just
The
to
black
add,
line.
add a reference in the legend to the black region border.
Okay,
On map 13, I believe El Paso is the only entity that has floodplain management higher than the minimum standards. Do we want to note that on this map?
Yes, we can definitely do that. It's good.
Here it is, right here. This way. The rest of these maps, so I can put them in the right spot.
do you want to go to the next? Is there any other discussion on this map?
Just some of the outlying counties aren't named on the copy I have. like Andrews County, Midland County, you know, they're not entirely within our region, but no identifiers.
Oh, like right here?
Yes,
The
correct. Yeah,
labels.
like that's, Ector County, but
Right.
it's not named.
Aren't named.
Okay.
And then up here too.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so name all counties. Okay.
okay, any other comments on chapter 3?
I
real
do
quick-
have one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm sorry, but can we go back to the end of 3.1.1?
Sure.
Yes, no, stuff back there.
Go ahead.
Okay, so my question was, my understanding is, because this is in regards to the higher standards, and it's referencing the city of El Paso, and it talks about the freeboard of 2 feet. I just wanted to confirm if that's correct, because my understanding that the freeboard requirement in the city of El Paso was 1 foot.
Where is that in 3.1.1?
And,
That's at the
No.
very end, right before 3.12, I think. It's just a little bit further, right?
it's,
There.
3.4.
Right there, right below that.
Oh, I see it.
Yes.
Okay, on page 3.4. Okay.
So
So I don't know,
Mike-
I don't know if somebody from the city can confirm, but I thought it was a 1 foot of freeboard requirement.
I'll need to confirm with, I guess we'll need to confirm with Isela.
This is Apurva Bora from USIBWC. You see, all our levies actually has 3 feet of freeboard according to FEMA requirements. And most of the El Paso County levies are actually, we built it along the Rio Grande. If you are talking about the levies along the Rio Grande. So all the USIBWC levies at least 3 feet of freeboard. And that's the FEMA requirements to get actually levy certification to reduce that flood insurance behind the levy.
Javier, and I know you're on the line. I don't know if it was when you were at the city, was that the case? Was that a 1 foot of freeboard? Oh,
Yes, this is gonna be a touchy subject because it is different for different situations. Let's say for a pond, we started to we left out the freeboard completely. So we just we had no freeboard, but there's different situations like Mr. Boris stated for the levee where that is a different criteria, but I'll have to look to see exactly what it says inside their code. But yeah, we had taken out the freeboard completely for different situations like ponding situations, things like that.
okay.
I can
Yeah,
look
I thought this was probably like referring to like establishing your finished floor elevations of like residential structures or something like that in a flood zone. But again, I guess maybe like
Yeah,
Annette said,
you are
maybe we can.
Yeah, it is 1 foot for above the BFE for flood zone or flood zone determination. That is correct.
Okay.
It's not 2 feet.
So is the concern that it might appear to be misrepresenting the actions of the city because it's dependent on where the location is?
Yeah, if it's above the BFE for like an elevation certificate, it should be 1 foot above the BFE, not 2 foot.
Okay. Brian, should we work with you and Isela on this section to make sure that it's comprehensive as it needs to be?
Yeah, I think that it just needs explanation.
Yeah, I think the source of this information originally was the TFMA 2018 Higher Standards Survey. And I did confirm just now that our numbers match the values reported in that survey. So maybe we can just confirm that or any other values with Isela.
Yeah, maybe a note underneath or something that specifies the city does if it's a little different. But you're right, just so we can provide the text.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Anything else in 3? Okay, let's move on to
No, sorry.
chapter 4.
Oh.
Say again?
Mark,
Yeah, I had just a couple of comments that I missed. On the where we're showing the documents, I guess where they have where we show on table 3.1 City of Paso, I guess they have the drainage design manual. I was wondering if we need to list, because text that obviously has the drainage, their hydraulic design manual. That'll be on table, I think it's on,
oh, this one, right?
yes, that one.
Table 3.1.
Yeah, since text that, I mean, I really have that manual, and they do have jurisdiction. I really a lot of their facilities within all this region. Is that something that you might consider adding? I really text that being an entity there, and they do have their manual that they follow for all their roadways.
Definitely.
And then on the other one is right below that table it talks about, I guess, the second paragraph through the National Flood Insurance Program. They're on that 3.2.
Let's see.
Right
Right
there. Yeah. No, you passed it. It was right on 3.2.
National Flood Insurance, second paragraph.
Wait,
Yeah, go right below the table he was talking about.
oh, right below the tip, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay,
Now, right here, second.
Thank you.
paragraph.
Yeah, right there, the second paragraph. It says that the Paso, I know the city of El Paso has the base flood elevations, but it also brings in the county. But I know that there's some areas in the county that we don't have BFEs. And I don't know, we need to state that there's right, Gilbert, my understanding is there's some areas that really they need to be mapped, that they don't have BFEs.
Even
Yeah,
within the city.
Correct. Yeah, there is some unmapped areas in the existing, I guess, flood maps. Yes.
Okay, yeah, because we're stating it here that as we have BFEs for the city of El Paso and the county, and you might want to make that distinction.
Okay.
That's it on 3.
Okay, anybody else for chapter 3? Okay, let's try chapter 4. Let me look at the page set a second. See where a logical spot to stop is.
Is map 14 for chapter 4, or is that associated with chapter 3?
Map 14 and 15 are with chapter 4.
Thank you.
Let's see. Okay, let's go through page 4.2. Anything at the beginning of chapter 4 through page, well, 4.2 is labeled on a couple different pages. The index is the 4.2 and part of the text is 4.2. So the index pages should probably have the I, 4I and 4I2. The one that lists tables and map exhibits should say 4II as a page number.
Okay.
All right, and then we'll go through page 4.2, which includes 4.1.1. Any comments there? 4.1.1. Yeah, all of chapter 4 before we get to the tables. Through 4.1.1. Okay, through 4.1.2.
Sorry, just one. I think the formatting, right, is a little bit different, bigger text than the other chapters.
Oh, right. Yeah. So I should mention that we, in our first few chapters, we were using an Arial, I believe it was Arial 10 font, and then we received guidance from the Water Development Board that we should be using a minimum 12-point font. So we did switch the size and the font as well from Arial to Calibri, just because Arial tends to be a larger font. So since we're increasing the font size from 10 to 12, we are also just kind of moderate the size a little bit, we switched the font. So we're going to go backward to those earlier chapters and make everything consistent, but the final formatting should match, more closely with what we're seeing in chapter 4 in terms of text size and font.
Just make sure the hot link for 4.3, 4.4 for table content missing. So I guess you're going to fix it later on. In the table of contents.
Yeah, up here, just I think that's still gonna have to be, that's still gonna be worked on, right, Brian? That's why there's no,
Yeah, I think Chris Wright is on the call. I don't know if you want to speak to kind of the material available for review in chapter 4.
Yeah, there were some space fillers right there that you can see where the error mark is not defined. So that's partly related to just being a partial submittal for now. There was an updated PDF that's available, which has some of the appendices added, including the maps, which are referenced here at the bottom, where you can see Appendix 4D map exhibits. So those are available now to look at. And yeah, this table of contents issue will be fixed. There's also these appendices A, B, and C. I know there were some issues uploading them onto the website, but initially, but they are available, and they include narratives of each project, including like a 1.5 or 1 page write-up for the FMEs and FMSs, which describes sort of the flood issues for each of the FMEs. It has a discussion on flood risk. It also has a description of the scope of work, and then it has a breakdown of the costs that we use to come up with the total FME and FMS costs. And for the FMPs, it has excerpts from the relevant stormwater master plans and snapshots of the figures from the stormwater master plans. So that's the Appendix B that's available now for review. And then, as I mentioned, it has also the map exhibits that are referenced at the end of this partial chapter, which for the FMEs, FMSs, and FMPs, it includes an overview of the whole region. And then there are additional map books that'll be included in the recommended FME, FMS, FMF, FMP chapter. But those map books have zoomed in maps of each one of these FMEs, FMSs, and FMPs. So that's all available now. It wasn't up there initially. There were some issues loading, maximum sizes that could be loaded onto the website. But if you all wanted to get a head start on looking at some of these detailed FMEs, FMSs, and FMP descriptions and write-ups, you can do that now with the links that are on the agenda.
Okay, any comments on table 4.1? That might be sized so it fits correctly on a printout. When I printed this, it's chopped off on the right end, so there are columns on the right side that aren't there anymore. So it might need to be sized correctly.
Yeah.
Brian?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yep. We'll look into that.
Okay, all right. Anything on 4.1.2? Paragraph 4.1.2, page 4.4? Table 4.2? Same thing, size? Go ahead.
Yeah, the fifth column, I think, should be number of residential structures in floodplains.
This is for table 4.1?
Yep, 4.2.
Oh, in 4.2, okay.
A number of,
Oh, yeah, residential needs to be in there.
which one?
It's the third column.
Number. Okay.
Residential's left
Okay.
out. Okay. How about table 4.3? And pages 4.7 and 4.8, including table 4.4.
Just real quick, do you want that again, Dr. Sheng, the?
Oh, the
including county
organization?
within the city?
I think of the first table already
But-
covered,
okay,
it should be
okay.
okay. They can go back. Consistency. 4.1.3 session, the title, flood needs. Feel awkward. Either flood management needs or flood infrastructure needs. Make it more specific.
We use quantitative needs in the paragraph.
It's need analysis. Are we talking about summary of flood infrastructure need analysis or what I mean is flood
Yeah,
needs?
we'll change that to flood management and mitigation needs.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So table 4.4, you can change it to.
Okay, no other comments on? Go ahead.
No, I think on the 4.3, I guess the second part of the table, right, is gonna be, the title is gonna be repeated.
Yeah.
4.4 on 4.4, yeah, on the second, on the following page.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It breaks, I guess, when it breaks on the next page. No, keep going.
So you-
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, you want to see it up here too, right?
Yes.
Oh, I see. For table 4.4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Okay. Let's see, let's go through 4.14 now, through page 4.15. 4.9 through 4.15. That would include paragraph 2. Go ahead.
I have a general question really on table 4.5.
4.5.
Okay, what is 4.5?
Yeah, so
Fine.
it says reduce the
So
number of buildings and critical buildings in floodplain from the Texas Water Development Board data set. How is that data set different from the county and census data set that we were discussing in tables 4.1 and 4.2? Are those different or are those the same? Does it even matter?
Those should be the same. Brian, you agree, right? We use the same building data set for the analysis that was discussed previously as we did for the FMPs, FMEs, and FMSs.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Okay, let's see, start, page 4.9, 4-9. You're starting talking about subcommittee 3, and then you mentioned subcommittee meetings here. Then later sections, you have subcommittee 2. Wow. Page 10 is subcommittee 3. Then went all the way down to page 4-12. You have subcommittees 2 coming back. Do you mean subcommittee 2 and 3 covers sections 4 here, or I know you have chapters 10. We have better, explanation each committees. Unfortunately, we don't have it here. Just make sure clearly state which committee meetings. I assume, the front part would be subcommittee 3 meetings. Then later on, you have subcommittee 2 and 3. So just make notes of that. Make sure. But later on, you're going to refer to your chapter 10. Information about different
Right,
committees.
yeah, just as a reminder, the subcommittee 2 was focused on the FMPs, and the subcommittee 3 was focused on the FMEs and FMSs. But
Okay.
yeah, we'll put that at the beginning of this section just as for clarity and to remind everybody, and then we'll go through one more time, just make sure that when we reference each of these, we're referring to the correct subcommittee.
Okay, good. Therefore, on page 4-7, this page really gets my attention. Your subtitles create a list of original. This very light when you print out, it might not come up properly. So
The gray you're saying?
yeah, the light.
The table 4.4 heading, you mean?
No, not this subtitle. That's what on the page 4-12. You can look at it. The subtitles create a list.
Oh, I
It's
see.
very light.
They're very faint. They're
Yeah,
not bolded. They're not
Yeah.
in bold.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, just make sure.
There's a couple subtitles that need to be
Right.
bolded. Okay,
Oh, these, okay, like that,
I see what you're saying.
different color. Like that.
Yeah. Okay, anything else through page 415?
On table 4.6, you might just want to add bullets to each one because it seems like the left corresponds to the right, but it took me a while to identify. No, it's all the agencies that we're trying to list, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, we'll make that table more clear.
Okay. That's all I have.
Anything else through 415? Appendix 4A. There are several charts that are identified in Appendix 4A, so we need to know which page you're talking about, because you really can't differentiate other than the title.
Right. So each of these appendices starts out with this summary table, and it's actually an extension of all the same table. We'll make sure and make that more clear on the headers. But basically, this is the first several, I think, 3 or 4 pages here is all one table, and we're just keeping the first column the same so that you can see which FME it's associated with. But it's just a really long table with a lot of columns to it. So we extended it over multiple pages. But yeah, we'll try to make that clear in the title somehow. Maybe we'll say like page 1 of 7 or however many pages it is, so that's clear that that's all one table. But each of these appendices will start out with this summary table, and then below it are where the narratives start. Like after you get past this table, if you keep scrolling, Brian, or I'm not sure who's scrolling, but yeah, then these are all the narratives that I was talking about earlier that talk about each one of the FMEs, and in the appendices 4B and 4C start out the same way with the summary table followed by the narratives. There is a mislabel in the agenda for where it has a appendix 4E and a link to just one single table. That was because we had forgotten to update the header on appendix 4C, but what's labeled in the agenda as a link to appendix 4E is really the table associated with appendix 4C. So I apologize. That was our fault for mislabeling that one page, but yeah, that's just kind of the general structure of these appendices that are available now.
Well, I've got some text in Appendix 4A that starts on labeled page 1. Before that, though, I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 charts that appear to have different columns, headings, and they all appear to be different. So they don't appear to be an extension of the same table matrix through all 4 of them. And I thought that's what you just said, is it's an extension of the same thing, long table, but the columns are different on every page.
Yeah, sorry. I should have clarified. It's not an extension lengthwise, but an extension widthwise. So they will have unique column headers on each page. And what's going to stay consistent is the first column on the left, so that you could match up the FME IDs for each page.
Okay, I understand now. Okay, I got it. So it's very wide.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I understand. Any comments on those 4 pages?
Just quick notes on page 3.
Are you in the text now?
Appendix of the table, yeah.
The table here, yeah.
On page 3.
3. You look at all these entities or sponsors.
Oh, okay.
You have EPCWID number 1. Then you have later in the same table, you have EPCWID 1. And just keep consistent because it's on the same table and people might read, as 2. I know you might have a list of agencies in the front somewhere use different abbreviations. That's one thing.
Yep.
And the city of El Paso, COEP, and you have city of El Paso, just keep consistent with whatever you choose. And also El Paso County versus EPC. So just keep consistent.
Right. Yeah, that's a good comment. I was going to ask, is Isela or someone with City of El Paso online on the call right now? I was going to see if they preferred us to put them as EP Water or El Paso Water or City of El Paso, if they have a preference. I'm not sure if anyone is on right now who can comment on that.
There isn't, Chris, but we can email that to Isela to ask.
Okay.
Chris, for EPC WID number 1, just take out the NO and just add the number 1 after the initials, the letters.
Yeah, keep it simple.
Okay. Thanks.
And Jeff Bennett has a question also.
In chapter 3, it's Alpine City and Sonora City. In here, it's City of Alpine, maybe just some consistency between chapters.
Alpine City. Oh, so you're saying we should change Alpine City to City of Alpine to be consistent there, and same with Sonora.
I don't have a preference which you choose. It's just not consistent between chapters. It's
Right. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, anything else on that wide data sheet? Okay, let's go to the text for Appendix 4A then. Page 1 through 5. Okay, no comments on page 1 through 5. Let me see how the other pages go up.
6 through.
Yeah, I'm just seeing where a good break point is. You know what? Okay, we're already through 1 through 5. The next page is the one page 6 with the map on it. Okay, now we're looking at page 7 for ID that ends in 0003 and page 8. Evaluation ID that ends in 0004 on page 9 and 10. Evaluation ID ending in 0005 on 11 and 12.
Just real quick, on that one, San Elisario, we do have Alderman Cantu, if he's still with us. I don't know if he had a chance to take a look at this, but if there was anything that he wanted to add to it.
Yeah, I'm here. I think you got everything on there that we discussed previously.
Okay.
Yeah, when I read these, sometimes I miss things, and this is why it's good to hear you guys go through it. Because, but everything that we talked about is included in there.
Okay, ID 0006 on pages 13 and 14.
Okay.
0010 on pages 15 and 16.
Is this for Presidio or Pecos?
Pecos.
Yeah, read the second paragraph under description. It says Presidio.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Oh, yep. Thank you.
We're all, oh.
Where is that?
The description doesn't match the name or the rest of the narrative.
And the Rio Grande in Presidio. So it's either if it's.
Oh, okay, I got it. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. All right. 0012, pages 17 and 18. Zero 0014, pages 19 and 20. And it looks like also page 21. Okay, 0015, pages 22, 23. Zero 0018, pages 24 and 25. I did notice there are maps with some of these, but all of them don't have a map. Is there
What happened?
for some reason that there should be a map with each one of them, or is it just not, there's no map with some and some do have a map?
Yeah, there's just some of these we included a map from a separate study just for reference, but all of these should have a zoomed in map as part of the map, the recommended map books that are included in the Appendix D. So the Appendix D has sort of an overall index map, and then it has zoomed in maps for each one of these FMEs.
Okay, so do you need to put a note then in each one of the ones that doesn't show a map that we've gone through already that references a map within that appendix?
We can add that note if yeah, that would probably add some clarity.
No, I think we have that note in there, Chris.
Oh,
we have it.
There on some of these.
Not in this one, but other ones.
Yeah,
right
on
here.
some of these there is a note that references I believe it's map 15. And I don't know.
Not the, not so much on the FMSs, which you're on now. I think it's primarily in the FMEs.
No, these
So
these are the FMEs, and so there are some of these which reference specific maps from map 15, which is our needs, which show all the structures at risk in certain cities. So if there's a
There it is.
stormwater
All right.
master plan,
So on page
yeah, if there's
28,
like
there, we reference map
right,
15.
so
map,
on all these that are stormwater master plans, we'll reference a specific map from map 15 map book. But then what I was saying is, in addition, there's also a map book that's strictly for all the FMEs. So you know, we can add a reference to that to those figures as well.
I think that'd be a good idea for the ones that don't show a map. Okay.
Yeah, also for all these figures, you don't have IDs. Did you
Right.
do it on purpose or?
No, that's something we added that to the FMP figures, and I meant to go in and add it to these. So we'll add figure numbers to these as well.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, just.
Okay, then we're on to 0019, page 26 and 27. Zero zero 21, page 28 and 29. 0022, page 30 and 31. 0023, page 32 and 33. 0024, page 34, 35. 0025, page 36, 37. 0026, page 38, 39. 0033, 40, 41. Okay, and now we're into Appendix 4B. And that has several pages. Any comments in Appendix 4B? Which is in the middle of, oh, I see. Okay. Any comments on 4B?
And as we were going through the maps previously, or the 4A,
FMEs?
yes. Most of them, I think, yeah, I couldn't find one that didn't reference the maps, so the maps were
okay.
being referenced.
Okay, all right, good.
Okay, where do you want to go now, 4B?
4B,
Okay,
and I don't think there are any comments on 4B. Okay, now we're into flood mitigation projects. 0003. And that looks like pages 1 and 2.
I'll make a note, there's, on the discussion of the flood risk,
And 3.
there's, we just cut off the OS for Brock and Bustillos for the engineers.
Oh yeah, thank you.
On the discussion of the flood risk, they're referencing the feasibility study from Brock and Bustillos.
Oh, okay.
For 4B, we are still in 4B, right?
We can go back to 4B if we need to. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, just general comments. So all these figures, their IDs is from original ID or it's in sequence of our chapter here? Because the ID.
Right. So if we could scroll down to the first figure that you encounter under the
33.
narratives.
Is this the right page?
No, if you keep going down, scrolling
first figure,
down towards the narratives, and then until you see a figure.
Right there?
Keep going, keep going. No, it's going to be further down. Okay, so
Yeah.
right here.
That's a B.
So the
B
way
street.
these figures are numbered is, since it's Appendix B, we should probably change that to Figure 4B. I think I meant to do that. Maybe some of the other ones have 4B -3, but then the 3 part is because this is FMP 3. So they're not ordered as like this is the first figure in this appendix. They're ordered with the number, sort of a short ID for the FMP number at the end, and that's the way we numbered the map books as well. But
Okay.
I probably should have included a 4 in front of the B for these. I can make that update.
Okay.
Oh, in figure 4B3.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good. You just want to see what they really meant, whether it's from original.
Okay, any other comments on 0003, FMP 003? And that would be through page 3. Okay, FMP 0005, pages 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, 9, including those maps.
I'm sorry, you know what? I was on mute. I was trying to ask about one right before this. Or I think it might be in the beginning. Talks about affected. No, I'm sorry. Just the project that we were going over. I think it mentioned about us. Yes, that one. That one is for. Is this the correct one? It says affected jurisdiction. Is this supposed to be the City of El Paso project?
Which page are you on?
On this one, you're showing right now 005, but
Yeah, we probably should put City of El Paso for this one, because I think the whole project is definitely within the city limits. So that's a good catch. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, instead of El Paso County? Okay. Okay, and the maps are gone. Let's go to FMP 007. And I've got several charts here from High Sierra Electronics that go through page 10.
So I had the name there is a little awkward, worded a little awkwardly. I kept trying to convince myself that the gates weren't going in the stream itself. I mean, I know they're not. They're low water crossing. Maybe low water crossing should be at the front of the sentence. It's just worded awkward.
Okay, referring to the name of the FMP.
Yeah, and then in the description too, it's also a little awkward.
Okay.
I mean, I understand that the gates aren't in the stream, but that's what I read.
Okay.
It's all on page 10.
Yeah, the first page there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any comments on the High Sierra Electronics input?
That's a quote. We really can't change that.
Okay. Okay. All right, let's go to FMP 009. One page, page 11. FMP 0011, page 12 and 13 and 14. Zero 021, pages 15, 16, and 17. FMP 0024, pages 18, 19, and 20. If I'm going too fast, tell me. I think we're doing okay. 0025, pages 21, 22. Zero zero 97, pages 23, 24. Um, 0100, page 25, 26. 105, page 27, 28. 111, page 29, 30, and 31. 113, page 32, 33. 116, 34, 35. And then I'm into Appendix 4C for strategies. Okay, any comments before we start strategies?
I just want to just clarify, I did notice several of those projects had also the county, the same thing that I just raised before, they had County of El Paso City, an affected entity. So if you can just go through all of them and if you guys can come at a later time, go in and correct those, please.
From county to
Yeah,
city?
I was going to ask about that. If something is within the city of El Paso limits, do you think you prefer the jurisdiction to just say city of El Paso, or would it also be El Paso County?
Yeah, I think if it's the projects affecting the unincorporated areas of the county, then absolutely go ahead and put that in the county. But if it's completely inside the city of El Paso, it's just best to keep the city of El Paso as the affected entity.
Okay, we'll make that edit
Yeah.
globally.
Okay, so be a little careful because some projects affect both the incorporated and unincorporated, right?
Right.
So if any part of the unincorporated is involved, include both of them.
Right.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm into Appendix 4C now, which is strategies. There's some narrative in 001 that goes through page 3. So 001, pages 1 through 3. 002.
And just, sorry, just to clarify, so this is the appendix that should have started out with the table like the other two for the FMSs, but it was labeled in the agenda as Appendix 4E, and that's just because we didn't update the header on that. So this appendix should start out with that table, but it just jumps right into the narrative.
Are we going to run into 4E later on?
Well, there is not a 4E, right? Right, Chris, I assumed that correctly?
Right, there should not be a Appendix 4E. It's just labeled that way in the agenda right now, but really that table should be at the start of this appendix. So
Click on it. It says 4E, but it doesn't belong to 4E.
Okay, I got it. So that one's coming.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Okay, so we'll go into 4C. Again, anything through page 3. This is for FMS 001. Okay, 002. Page 4 and 5. 003, page 6.
On page 6, just below about the scope of work for this SME include not just delete is. Delete IS.
Where do you want that deleted?
Oh, it should be an FMS instead FME.
The scope of work for this FME includes, you don't need the is.
oh yes, Yeah, that should be FMS. Thank you.
It should be FMS, right?
Right there.
It should be an S in
Yes.
place of the, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, because these are FMSs. Okay,
Right.
okay. And that's the same thing is true on, and all of them, it looks like. So you're gonna have to fix that through all of them.
Yeah.
Or is the same way. Okay, all right. Now we're on 004, page 8 and 9. Same correction.
Yeah, we'll make that globally throughout this
Okay,
appendix.
005, page 10, 11, and 12.
Jeff, anything on this one?
I don't see it. He said he's gonna do a global check on it. So.
I thought this was an evaluation. I'm sorry, are we on the 005?
Yes.
I didn't think this was a strategy. I thought it was an evaluation.
It is a strategy right now in the plan. A lot of these strategies can be classified as studies. It's sort of a judgment call. We included this one as a strategy because we thought, I guess, in developing it, that there was a chance there could be an implementation component of it. Like if there was some strong estimate of a cost for construction that we could find, then maybe we could include that sort of lump sum for actually implementing this. But at this point, we don't really have a good sense for what that construction cost might be. So we're just doing really the study part of this right now. But we have it in there as a strategy, in case in future cycles of the flood plan, after that study is done, there might also be a construction cost that could go along with it. But if you feel strongly that this should be a study and not a strategy, this would probably be able to move over to that category.
This is in the area of the IBWC Border Preservation Project, have they reviewed this?
The IBWC?
Yeah, they have a border preservation project there. Long-standing project.
Well, Dr. Bora, is that something that you can comment on if this is something that could affect that border preservation project?
So the route, let me just break in for just a second. So the route for this particular project comes from the cited study that's in the middle of the screen right now. This study of the Forgotten Reach, which was done by the Corps, which I'm sure the IBWC participated in some fashion. So this has been an issue at least since 2008. So it's not an unknown need, and part of this study is to get the coordination, as said in the description, going between all these other entities to make sure we have coordination to get the recommendations of that 2008 study moving forward.
Since 2008, the Beetle has been released, and there's not a lot of salt and cedar left, at least in the accessible areas of the river. So, I haven't been into the Forgotten Reach because it's not really accessible. So, there's just a couple of things that pop up in my brain when I read that. So
are the needs? So I mean, it's part of the review by the flood planning committee is if you all think this one is not needed or is not a high priority. When we eventually prioritize these things, this thing is going to become a fairly low priority. So, but the origin of this FMS comes from that report.
Right. There's been a lot of changes since then, but if it's a study and an that makes sense to me. But if we're already thinking ahead to implementation, that I'm not so sure what I think about that, to be honest. Just, those are just
Yeah, no,
questions.
right now we don't have any implementation component of this in there. So you know, we could make it clear. We could do two things. We could either move it over to the FME category, or we could just make it clear in this description that this is a study only at this point, and leave it as a strategy, because there's some other strategies that are specified as being just a study only at this point, but we still kept them as strategies because they are sort of complex enough where they might involve coordination with multiple entities and things that we don't know could affect whether or not an FMP could actually be developed from those strategies. So either way, like I said, if you have a preference on whether to move it to a study or just be more clear in this description that it's a study only.
Yeah, I think this is Jeff Irvin. I wrote this text. I think I muddied the water a bit here, because the actual origin of this thing is not that 2008 study. The origin of this is the fact that there's known drainage issues on the communities along the Forgotten Reach, where their ability to drain into the Rio Grande is restricted somewhat, and there is some risk of flooding associated with overbank flooding from the Rio Grande. So one of the potential solutions to dealing with those unincorporated communities is to do some maintenance within the Rio Grande itself. So this is a parallel program to the one that's for El Paso, to basically study maintenance within this reach. And
again, if it's just a study, then I don't have any more questions.
It's just study, because it's also a prioritization. It's something to basically say we understand the need of these communities. And these communities were not identified, I think, as high priority communities in our risk analysis.
Right.
It's something that came up in our discussion in our planning meetings, that these communities were at risk. And so this is to address that. Now, because the communities have a relatively low level of risk in terms of numbers of population at risk, this one is likely to not be one of the first ones that gets selected for funding. But it's in here to address a risk that was brought up in one of our meetings.
Okie doke.
All right, but yeah, we'll make it more clear in the description here that this is a study only.
Okay, so that's 005 that we're talking about now is settled.
The title is a little doesn't convey what Jeff just told us.
Okay, yeah, we can add the word study into the title to make that clear.
Well, it's much more than just controlling salt cedar. That's what I'm getting at. This is about, side tributaries, building deltas that don't allow for flood flow conveyance and things like that.
Right, we can add that into the study title and shoot you an email with the revision if just to get your input if you want, Jeff Bennett.
That'll work.
You bet.
All right, thanks.
Okay, anything else on 005? Okay, let's look at 006. That's page 13 and 14 and 15. Okay, and 7. Okay, let's go to 007 is salt cedar issue again. Page 16, 17, 18.
Yeah, just quick comments. It's going back to 005. It does have discussion here, 005. What the relationship between these two, or just project-wise, because it's totally two different regions.
Right.
Okay, so
They are
there's a
two
description. There's a description down a little bit in the bottom of this screen that makes a reference back to strategy 005 that kind of explains that reason.
Oh, yeah.
So you have one project.
They're strategies, so they're
Share the cost bundle or what that, because your cost table says if this, 005 and also 010 are done, then reduce the cost. But what this cost for? It's a cost for City of Pecos?
yeah, so if you read the two sentences in the bottom there with the 005s are highlighted, those two paragraphs explain the relationship. But the thought would be that there's a general discussion, there's a general part of strategy 5 where you basically come up with whether vegetation, is there a way to manage vegetation in the Rio Grande that appears to be both environmentally and an environmental alternative that manages the vegetation that meets the needs of the environment and at the same time increases the capacity of the river. And so you, since at least at the time we wrote these strategies based upon that study in 2008, it looked like the two reaches were related because both of them are associated with salt cedar growth. So the idea is that you do 005 first and do the environmental research for the region on the salt cedar, and then you wouldn't have to redo that again for the similar vegetation assumed in the vicinity of the city of Pecos. So this one would be focused only on salt cedar in the vicinity of the city of Pecos and wouldn't have any of the background literature research and discussions of the environment. If you didn't do 05 first, then you would do this one first. And when you went in for the grant application, you would add in the part of 05 to this one that deals with making sure you design the project so it's progressive environmentally in addition to having some flood mitigation benefits.
So this is just for the Pecos River within the vicinity of the town of Pecos?
Yes.
Okay, maybe we could add that to the title.
In reality, is Pecos River Associated project has been started and also implemented. So even before whatever the 005. So, Jeff Bennett knows the Pecos River watershed program has been done already. Certainly for flood protection may be actual, but in a way, social control along the Pecos River has been studied extensively and also implemented.
All right. So let me correct what I said before. I think Jeff asked me the direct question and I answered it improperly. Yes, whether it was only for the Pecos River. If we could look at the map of what the flooding is in the city of Pecos, it's only partially associated with flooding from the Pecos River. It also has a large watershed I forget the name of the tributary. It's a arid distributary arroyo basically that goes to the city of Pecos. That's created from a very large watershed. This one was intended to address vegetation maintenance both in the river and in that arroyo that flows into the north of the city. So if it's been addressed in the river, has it been addressed in that arroyo north of the city?
Dr. Singh is talking about two different things. There was a large spray program along the entire Pecos back in the early 2000s. They sprayed everything and killed it all. And then the beetle came in 2008 and it has pretty much chased salt cedar into the background. It's not really a dominant vegetation community anymore. Now, I don't know about. Go ahead.
So the issue is then the other source of flooding in Pecos, which is the large watershed to the west of Pecos. Is that something where increasing capacity through the city of that particular arroyo and finding an environmentally acceptable way to do that would require some kind of study of the vegetation in that arroyo? That's what this is about.
I don't know that the vegetation is the study. You know, the vegetation in the arroyo above town would promote floodplain inundation and actually increase the capacity of that watershed to hold water, and there would be less flooding in town, wouldn't there? I mean, you and I talked about diverting flows into those playas that are on the east side of town, but
Jeff, I think what we should do, because I think it's just a matter of getting a group of people that know this area and this issue to talk to me, and then we'll
Okay.
reword this. We'll reword this. We just make a note, Chris, that we need to visit on this particular FMS.
that seems like a good idea.
I mean, you all obviously know a lot more than I do, and I wrote this. So let's just make sure we rewrite this and focus it in a way that includes your knowledge. And
Well, it appears to me that 5, 7, and 8 then need to all kind of be aligned to make sure they're all saying the right thing too. 5, 6, 7, and 8.
let's throw them all in there in that same meeting. And this
Yeah.
is exactly what we wanted to do with the review of this document. So this is
Sorry.
great.
5, 6, and 7. Okay, let's go on with 008 then. That's pages 19, 20, and 21. Zero 009, page 22, 23. Uh, 010, 010, page 24, 25. Zero 13, page 26, 27. 014, page 28, 29, 30. Zero 15, page 31, 32. 16, 33, 34. 17, 35, 36. 19, 37, 38. 20, 39, 40. And I think that's the end of them. And then we already addressed. Go ahead.
Well, actually, starting with FMS number 20, similar to that FMP involving Marfa, where we included a bid right after the description. We've got a bid here for these last 5 FMSs, which all have to do with early warning systems. So we did receive a bid from one of our subconsultants, View, and that's so each one of these last 5 includes a bid for that particular EWS. So after getting through this bid, you'll see the next FMS description followed by another bid. And yeah, so this first one's for the city of El Paso and El Paso County.
We can't do anything with the View bid, I guess. That's all locked in, right?
Well, they are a sub-consultant of ours, so if there are any comments, we can convey that back to them and they can update the bid.
Yeah, and
Similar.
and again, we've expressed to them what, our concept of what this early warning system should include. And we haven't had a lot of feedback on this issue with any of these entities for whom we're proposing an early warning system. So we are definitely seeking input on these from the entities that are having the early warning system. Now, there is an opportunity when these things get developed for a grant application, that we can refine the details of what's required for these early warning systems. For instance, these proposals all include the construction of a single rain gauge, and almost all of these proposals are going to require the installation of more than one rain gauge. El Paso may not need any new rain gauges, but certainly these large watersheds out in West Texas, to provide them early warning, there's going to have to be some rain gauges out in the middle of nowhere to figure out what's happening within their watersheds. So these are going to be refined to some extent before they go in. But if the entities in question want to ask questions about these proposals, we should have a meeting and refine them before this gets submitted. So, yeah, so they aren't fixed. They're bids, but they're bids that have been developed without the input from the cities that we've proposed having these systems for. These cities were chosen because they had high risk according to task 2 and 3. And so that's why they're in here. But we don't have any input specifically from El Paso or from any of the others on this particular scope of work. And we'd like to have.
I'll also point out that the one for El Paso actually has 2 options, a level 1 cost and a level 2 cost, which are both in the cost summary table before you get to the bid, and they're in the bid as well. But the primary difference is one is a lot more robust of a system, but has a higher annual maintenance fee, and the level 1 option has a lower annual maintenance fee. So we're including 2 options here in these cost tables, but for the overall FMS table where you can only insert 1 cost, we're just going to assume the higher overall cost between the 2 for that purpose, because it's more conservative. But if there's a preference by the city or the county on which system they prefer, feel free to let us know.
Hey, Jeff, if you haven't received that much, I guess, feedback from the entities affected, I would suggest that to schedule a meeting with all of them to, I guess, just to at least get a better explanation and probably some better feedback than what you've received at this point.
Yeah, they've been sent these ideas and requested input, but they didn't have the full proposal. So there have been ideas solicited on early warning, but we've not received any feedback. So now that we have these final proposals hot off the press, I think you're right. I think we probably need to have at least try to have a meeting. I'm hopeful, but not expectant that a lot of these cities across the broader region will provide us meeting time between now and when this thing has to get in.
Sure.
Well, I don't know if we talked about this yet, but we're planning on bringing it up at the next RFPG meeting, is that You know, we're trying to get your all's initial input here, but any comments that can't be incorporated, you know, before the submittal to TWDB, there is a public comment period, and so you can make comments as a member of the public during that period. It's the RFPG included with that, so there is still time to address some of these more complex issues after the submittal date on August 1st. And the best way to do that, if it's a substantive issue, is to plan on submitting a public comment during the public comment review period.
Okay.
Okay. That should complete Appendix C, if I'm correct. And so I think what we need to do now is look at some maps. Map 14, see if there's any comments on map 14.
You're missing a label for Reagan County. And in your legend, you have cities and towns, but I don't see any boundaries around any cities and towns, so you could probably take that out.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, any other comments on 14? Okay, let's look at 15. Now, from what I've seen of 15, there's one map overall that shows the greatest Frederick's density of structures, and then there are 31 supplemental maps to 15. So that there are 32 pages that I see in 15. So I guess what I'll do is just let somebody choose where they want to go. If we have any comments on any of the maps that are labeled 15.
I'll try and bring it up right now. So on, this is going to show 14 and 15. So let me.
Okay, 14 we've seen, we're okay with that. The first, map that I see, let's just make sure we let people look at this, is density of structures inundated by a 1% flood. That's the first map. And then 1 of 31 is El Paso City, 2 of 31, and just stop me if, you know, comment if you have some comments here. 2 is Socorro City, 3 is Pecos City, 4 is Alpine City, 5 is Fort Bliss CDP, 6 is Kermit City, 7 is Ozona, 8 is Southwest Sandhill, 9 is Socorro City, 10 is Canutillo, 11 is Presidio, 12 is San Eli, 13 is Monahans, 14 is Balmorhea, 15 Homestead Meadows, 16 Del City, 17 is Imperial, 18 is Sanderson, 19 is Clint, 20 is Marfa, 21 Fabens, 22 Thornville, 23 Lindsay, 24 McCamey, 25 Van Horn, 26 Fort Stockton, 27 Barstow, 28 Crane, 29 Fort Davis, 30 Prado Verde, and 31 Toya. And that, to me, is all of the maps in 15. Any comments on any of those that I passed through very quickly?
Can I suggest that can we go back to the index map? I'm sorry. Just so everybody, I think these are very important to understanding all the FMEs and FMSs. So if we could just, I know this isn't to discuss what's in the report, but I think there's, just want to focus in on what it is we want, what we'd really like to have feedback on. And Chris, do you mind if I interrupt here? I'm kind of butt jumping in.
Go ahead.
This is, the map you're talking about is the
Yes.
first map on 15?
Yes. Okay. So what this set of maps is, a lot of what we did as the consulting team is we weren't getting a lot of cries for help from across the broader region, right? We weren't, you may recall at the beginning when we had all those initial meetings, we were getting good support from Hudspeth County. We were getting some from Presidio, but we weren't getting a lot of. We do have a representative from this region, but we weren't getting a lot of individual calls from Ozona or Sonora, or these places that we knew. We just didn't know much about the flood risk out in those areas, but we weren't getting any unprompted responses about flood needs from across the broader region. So when we did the initial risk analysis, we created a bunch of maps with the Water Development Board's models that they provided. And we did these inventories of the number of structures that are in the floodplain. And then we sorted them by the number of structures in the floodplain. And so that table that's in the lower right-hand corner of this index is very important because it's the basis of why we have an early warning system out there for Alpine and early warning system for Kermit and for Sonora. The reason they're in the FMEs and the FMSs is because of this table, right? So this is the root on why FMEs and FMSs were created unilaterally for these entities. And we've had meetings. We've managed to, over the period of the plan preparation, to get most of these cities in a meeting where they have acknowledged the fact that they have these risks, right? But this is the source of why we contacted these entities, right? So just go down to the first map, whatever it is, right? So let's not, El Paso is by far the most complicated. Let's go down. What's the next one? What's this one?
It's Pecos.
This is Pecos. Okay, so this is Pecos. So what all of these maps have on it is they have the outline of the city, and they have the outline of any adjacent community designated places like this Lindsay CDP on it. And then within the incorporated area, within any CDP, you get to see which structures are at risk within those areas. And you also see the structures that are just outside those areas at risk. So that's what you're seeing. That's the information you get. And the blue extents are where the flooding source is. So we had this discussion just prior on flood risk in the city of Pecos, and you see the river, the Pecos River is that noodle that you see in the upper right-hand corner of that map, right? But you see that most of the flooding is coming from the tributaries that are going into the Pecos from the west. So fixing the flooding in the city of Pecos is going to require doing something to those, either something major for the huge watershed upstream of the city, or doing something adjacent to the city to get water past the city or through the city without inundating those structures. And that may involve working within those waterways, right? And that's what that strategy is about, is what can we do within those waterways that isn't environmentally disastrous, right? So there's a lot of information on these maps, and what we're seeking. So the most important comment you all can provide, if you've seen these before and have time to digest them, is this format something that you find helpful? Is it clear, or should we alter this format somewhat? Because this is the information that we're referring to from the FMEs and FMSs in our scopes of work. So
some of these blue lines, some of this blue area comes from old maps and some comes from newer maps. Is that correct?
no, I think they're all from the new TV. Brian, you can explain that.
Yeah, that's the result of our task 2 analysis to identify flood risks,
Okay.
compiling all the different sources.
So
So
this
these
is
are not-
this is not
It's
this is not
FEMA
the
today.
right. This is not FEMA. This is all new info based
Well,
upon
it
the.
does include FEMA. It compiles outside of El Paso County, at least. We considered both the FEMA FAFDS layer as well as the Fathom data sets.
Right, so depending on which area we're looking at, it may or may not include just Fathom or a combination of Fathom with FAFDS.
Have you got
That's available
13?
FEMA mapping.
Let me try to understand what you just said. You said that basically flood sources are from west, not from river,
13.
right?
Got called up here.
In this particular city, and we also have, we're going to have another maps. We're going to have another set of maps, which are coming up in the next set, that explains where the source is from. This one just explains
15, we've already-
where the structures are relative to the floodplains. The next set of maps shows where the origin is.
It's the same.
Yeah, but one of the strategies regarding Pecos City, you are talking about Pecos River, the debris in the Pecos River. So the source of water flood is from west. So basically flow through the city. If they didn't divert correctly, it floods the city. They eventually get into the river. So the flood in Pecos River in relatively it's from the water from west side, not from the river itself, right?
The flooding in the
Right.
city is mostly from the arroyos to the west, yes.
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
from the river. There is
Yeah.
a portion from the river. If you look in the far, if you look at the extreme northeast finger of the city, there's a series of houses that are within the braided floodplain of the broader Pecos.
Okay, all right, good.
But overall, the city of Pecos is under the threat of the flood from west.
Right.
From Arroyo. Yeah, okay, thank you. I just want to clarify, because the strategy was talking about debris in the Pecos River.
No, I confused everybody when Jeff asked the question, and I tried to correct myself. It deals with both the river and these arroyos from the west.
Yeah, okay, good, thank you.
The strategy is written correctly. I misspoke earlier. So I'm sorry.
No problem.
Okay, are we ready to look at a couple of the other maps then? Map 14? And just see if there are any other issues with some of these other maps? So.
Chris,
call it
can you
map
give
14.
a similar, can you have a similar discussion of the index and what's in a sample map at the beginning of this discussion?
Sure.
Or
think
whoever
we've already
created
covered this
it,
one, though.
it may be Brian or somebody else.
No, I can give that. I think we've already covered map 14 though, right? I think we're on to 16.
Let's go down to 15.
Or no, 16.
16.
It says 14, 15 on the agenda.
Well,
Already
we just
finished
did
15.
those. Those are
We
the,
just did a
15
14.
had-
Oh, 15, good.
Yeah.
I got it. Okay.
We already
You're
did
right.
15.
Yeah, 16. Yeah, it took a while.
Mhm.
okay. Oh, sorry, hold on, I clicked on the wrong hyperlink.
I don't think there is a map 16.
Yeah, there's
There's
a,
16.
it's coming up right now.
What's underneath this?
And did we already talk about 13, map 13? I'm not sure if we did.
Yeah, we did
We're
that.
gonna catch it. We're gonna catch it a little bit
Oh,
later
okay.
on. We can bring it up now if we want to. It's listed in the agenda after 8, but we can bring it up.
We already talked.
Or we 16, since it's already halfway loading it, I don't want to.
Yeah, 16's loading right now.
16 through 19, actually.
Okay.
The only comment on 15 is the I know that they had it on the legend, the exposed structure, and I think when you have the larger areas, the legend matches against the identified structure. But I guess when it gets really small, it looks almost like a different symbol, being I guess like a red dot, and I don't know if that can be clarified.
Yeah, when it gets zoomed out, those dots just become so small that if we try to make them big, which we've kind of experimented with, it really muddies the image.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that's something we can really correct. We've kind of experimented with that though, but I do get what you're saying. It's a little confusing.
Okay, this is which one now? That up here, 16.
16, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any
So
comments?
this one,
Any comments on map 16?
He's gonna explain real quick.
Go ahead.
So yeah, this first one is one of the required maps, potential flood management evaluations and existing map needs. And so this just shows you from a regional standpoint, each of the FMEs, and then an overview of the next one is going to be it shows two sets of data here. The gold and the purple counties are showing us, where mapping information is old in the golder areas, and where there's no FEMA mapping is in purple, and it's overlaying that on top of where the FMEs are. So that's the purpose of this map, is sort of from a region-wide extent. We've also included the recommended FMEs figure, which starts out with a map similar to this, but then it has index boxes where you can zoom in on each FME. But that's a later figure. So that's all I have for this one. If there are any comments.
Just add all the county names, still missing the tiny county.
Right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it? Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, map 17. Any comments on 17?
Yeah. This is sort of similar explanation, but for flood mitigation projects rather than the FMEs. This is from the zoomed out region-wide perspective. And when we look at the recommended projects, we'll have a map book with zooming in on each one of these areas.
Okay.
And like and like you said, that 1% AC is not based on analysis, right? On all these other counties. It's not actual HEC-HMS or HEC-RAS models that have been completed. It's all based on available information.
Right. Outside of El Paso County, all the FEMA mapping that is available is approximate or very old. And so we've had to supplement that with the Fathom floodplains. And so that whole process of creating that flood risk layer, I think, was covered in chapter 2, right, Brian?
Okay, thanks.
So yeah, that's
correct. Also,
those are the floodplains that we're going to show.
Valverde and Ector counties have floodplains based on the 2012, I believe, approximate data set.
Map 18.
And again, this is
Yeah.
the sort of zoomed out one for the strategies. There's a later map that's included with the recommended ones. That's each strategy, because I understand is kind of overlapping. Hard to tell what's what in these zoomed out ones. So that's why we have the later ones that are more zoomed in.
But just make sure all these, the region maps, some of the counties name left out. I know it's part of the mapping issue.
There's a whole bunch of
Just make sure these county names show up.
Okay, we'll do.
Thanks.
Okay, 19. And this 19 is an index map, and then there are several supplemental maps for 19. It looks like 19 through 1 through 23. So any comments on all of 19, including the supplemental maps 1 through 23?
Can we look at one of them? Just a second. The first one, just so I can explain why these added ones are in there.
1 through 1 of 23 you want to look at?
Now let's look at 2 of 23. All right, so
2 of 23?
right, so in the descriptions of the FMEs and in the FMSs, there's part of the scope of work that's defined refers to the watersheds that are going into, let's go down to the next one. Let's go down to the next map. We refer to the water. No, that one you just had 3. Yeah, go to 3. So let's go to, and so you can see it basically shows how large the watershed is that's going into the city that we're studying. In this case, it's like 6.7 square miles. But when you go down to wherever Pecos is, you'll be able to see the watershed of those two arroyos that come in from the west through the city of Pecos. And so you're able to see relating the size of the watershed to the scope of work, which is important to understand, among other things, the pricing that's been done for studying of the watershed. You can see the complexity of the watershed. So the reason we're showing the watershed is because within the FMEs and FMSs, there's a task to address studying and trying to calibrate as best we can the hydrology within the watershed. And it's a lot simpler for a smaller watershed than a big one. So that's it.
Real quick, before we move on, I just want to confirm, Dave, Dr. Shane, Jeff Bennett, 3, Gilbert, 4, Sal, 5. So we may have to stop at 11:30 in 7 minutes. Javier has to stop, and I think that will stop our quorum. I think that Carlos Velarde had to leave. Carlos, are you? I don't think you're still here. Omar, if you're on the phone, then we won't count you.
Yeah, I'm through webcam, so I can turn on camera if needed.
Okay, that'll keep it at 6. So we'll be at 6 then. If once Javier leaves at 11:30. Do we want to talk about a time if we need? Do we want to get through this, or do we need to make a time to stop?
Does anybody else have to leave so we can go and hit chapter 7 and chapter 8?
I really don't have a whole lot more time to spend on this today.
Okay, how long can you hang with us, Jeff? Another 15, 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Any more discussion on these maps? Okay. Do we want to look at map 20 and 21? very quickly.
And I'm sorry, I did not count Marvin, so if Jeff has to get off, we will still have 6.
Oh, okay.
But,
Where's 20? You had
20 is
20
gonna
and
be-
21 up here.
yes. Oh, there it is, 20 and 21.
Oh, okay. All right.
You want to talk about map 20 as it's coming up?
The flood mitigation projects index map.
Right. So this one, again, it's going to have an index map that shows from a region-wide level where all these FMPs are located, followed by a map book with the last 2 digits of the map number will correspond to the FMP number. And then it'll basically show you some the floodplains that were available in the analysis and different components that were considered when evaluating the benefits for each one of these in the overall FMP evaluation table. So for each one of these, there's sort of a different level of information that was available in some of these first ones, like low water, or intersection crossings. They didn't have like project specific floodplains specifically available. But if you go to some of the later ones where we get into the county and city stormwater master plans, those were ones where we had models available and we're able to do a little bit more detailed analysis. But so it's kind of a case by case basis. Each one of these is a little bit unique, but we ended up showing which structures were at risk for the 100-year floodplain, which were considered in our evaluation tables. So we also showed low water crossings and critical facilities within the map extents of each one of these. But yeah, each one of them was a little bit unique on where we got the floodplains from, whether it was project model that we developed or that we enhanced from a previous study.
Okay, and then it looks like map 21 is a reiteration of the management strategies index map.
Right, and this one has the index boxes included, and it's followed by a map book. So since some of these are overlapping, this recommended FMS map has zoomed in or zoomed out photos that maps that just show those like a single FMS following it, if it was overlapping or if it was hard to see on this overall one. So these later map books, yeah, like each one of these will show the Huck watersheds, and then the map, the FMS areas. It's either zoomed in or zoomed out depending on the area, and it hides all the other ones. So like this particular one has 3 components to it, 4 components, which are highlighted in the orange color. But it also shows the floodplain mapping in those Huck watersheds. And if there's like a dam, like this one particular has dams that are associated with the FMS, then they'll show up on these maps. But again, it's sort of a case by case basis on these ones as far as what they show.
Okay. Can we move on to chapter 7? Okay. Chapter 7 is pretty small. First, everything, if you look in chapter 7, everything is marked chapter 8. So
Yes.
all of the page numbers and everything have to be redone to read 7. Table of contents has to be corrected to read 7. And are there any comments on, let's just go with the whole chapter? I guess through page 7-6. So the entire chapter, any comments?
Page, now it's A2. Last paragraph, third line. Goals that are usually found in all plans include A, reduction should be reduced the impact.
Reduce,
Yeah.
third line.
Include, okay.
Reduce. Yeah.
Got it? Okay. And page 4. In the table for social media, I guess well, the third column, 18 should be 19. Let's just round up. Should be add up to 100%, right?
So these two.
Yeah, social media.
Oh, it's 81 and 18 instead of 81 and 19.
Okay,
I think
yeah.
it's added together should be.
Either that or 82 and 18.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
anything else for chapter 7? Okay. Let's look at chapter 8 then. Let's see what we can do here.
Jeff Irvin, how did you want us to treat this information? Because they're the slides that were presented on the workshops that were held on the 16th.
That's it. So,
I think in terms of chapter 8, have they been given chapter 8 as part of their review, Chris and Brian, at this point?
Right here.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Jeff, I pulled up the wrong information. I apologize. It's here.
okay, let's look at
All right.
chapter 8.
So I think at this point, we're going to have a meeting next week because subcommittee 4 has produced a set of recommendations which have been provided to them for review a week or two ago. And we're going to vote on formally approving those recommendations and presenting them to the full planning group at the following regional flood planning group meeting. So I think it may be inappropriate for the full planning group to make comments on the chapter at this time, given that the subcommittee hasn't made their own comments on it. I think would be helpful is if there's some I shouldn't say it's inappropriate. I'm just saying we would then be going backwards in the meeting next week, saying we had these comments from the full committee before you submit your recommendation to the committee. I guess that's fine. So if you have any comments on this, we won't be making any changes on it. We'll just be bringing up those comments to the subcommittee for approval next week. They'll be added to the list of comments to the subcommittee. Is all I need to say at this point, I think.
So what you're recommending is that we table chapter 8 until after you have the remaining, after you have your meeting with the team 4, group 4.
That would be the easiest thing at this point, but I think if there are planning group members that would like to convey something prior to the chapter, the subcommittee 4 meeting next week, if they would like to convey it, I think those comments would be noted and presented at that meeting. So if anybody has any comments, we're certainly receptive.
Okay, and we're just checking the agenda for the 20th. The agenda does allow us to table chapter 8 until the 20th. It's already included in the agenda, so we're okay. Everybody okay with that? Okay, then
Yes.
the AECOM charts that were passed out, you're going to review those then too? For task 8?
Yeah.
Is somebody able to respond to that inquiry?
By tables, the charts, do you mean the,
The slides for,
Yeah,
from the
test
AECom slide set?
oh, yes, we can just make sure that those are up to date or reflecting the latest information.
Okay, and you'll use those on the 20th then?
For the next review meeting? You mean?
Well, you guys you're gonna have a group 4, a subgroup 4 meeting interim, and then there's gonna be a general membership meeting on the 20th, which will include table 8. And the assumption is the results from the subgroup 4,
Correct.
right?
Yeah, I'm not, yeah,
Okay,
I'm
all right.
a little confused because I don't know how I don't recall how the PowerPoint got into the report. I think it's just there as part of the documentation of the meeting.
Yeah, it's
So
mainly
you're
just
asking-
six, yeah.
Maybe I added and I should not have then. I apologize.
Okay, so I think we're finished then. Are we finished with business for today? I'll open it up. Any comments from the public again? If anybody from the public is interested in making any comments at this time, please do so. Okay, hearing none, can we get a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Oh, second.
Okay.
Okay, you have a comment up there from, nope?
I'm just
Okay.
waving thanks all.
You're waving goodbye, huh?
Yeah.
Thanks for everybody for
Thank
hanging
you.
with us. This is a long meeting. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess we need to vote on the adjournment. Everybody in favor?
Oh, there was
Aye.
Carlos.
Aye.
Sorry, Carlos, we missed you. Okay, thank you. And I apologize for the switcheroo on the time. I promise the 20th at 9 a.m. There won't be any
And I assume there are
surprises.
no opposed, right? Okay. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.